I shot bluefin tuna.
How was that?
It was epic. We had to dive like 90 feet every single day just to even spot them. Basically what I had to do was look up, look for the birds, see where they went, keep swimming. Finally, I start seeing the birds diving into the water, and then I see sharks, and then I see dolphins, and then I see marlins.
Whoa.
There's definitely like a stigma about female spearfishers and fisher women in general.
Yeah.
When I'm in a sports environment, I'm very good at controlling my emotions and my reactions to things. I forget what country I was in, but we encountered a Chinese fishing vessel, and it was very illegal for them to be there.
Really?
Yeah. On a lot of my videos, you see me fighting sharks.
Yeah.
People are like, "You're crazy. What are you doing? Just give up the fish."
You've landed on the science of fishing, where passion meets precision. Before we dive in, we would like to thank Bloody Battery, Sea Mule, and Black Reef Co. for sponsoring this episode.
What's going on, everybody? Mark here with CCO's The Science of Fishing. I'm joined today with Lauren Sarasua here in the studio. I got it right today, guys. So we're going to get into some cool stuff all about her spearfishing and all about what she does and some pretty epic moments she's had lately. Lauren, thanks for joining us today. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. So for those at home that don't know you and, want to get to know you, what do you do? I know you're an epic spearfisher woman. You've been all around the world shooting massive fish that people only dream of. So just give everybody kind of a rundown of what you've been up to lately and what you got going on.
Thank you. So basically what I do is I dive underwater, holding my breath, and I hunt for seafood. And what I've been doing lately is just traveling around the world, making content for my YouTube channel, and just, having different experiences and shooting different fish.
That's pretty awesome. So where have you been to lately?
Lately, I just got back from Turkey for the second time.
Wow.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
What'd you do over there?
I shot bluefin tuna.
Okay. How was that?
It was epic.
Wow. Tell me about it. What's the experience with that?
So this trip was a lot more difficult than last year. It was a lot more challenging. The water was pretty murky and the fish were staying deep. So we had to dive like 90 feet every single day just to even spot them, but they weren't staying around. They weren't staying close. So it was really challenging. And I also had like a sinus infection, so that wasn't helping at all. But we managed to shoot a bunch. We shot like 4 bluefin tuna.
How big?
We didn't weigh them. They weren't as big as the ones that we shot last year.
Okay.
Last year's were massive.
Like giants?
Giants.
We're talking like 300 pounds or?
300 pounds.
Wow.
Plus, yeah.
Okay. That's incredible. How big were those this time around?
This time, maybe around like 160.
It's still a big fish.
Yeah, it's still a big fish, but I wanted bigger.
Yeah. So how hard is it to shoot these bluefin tuna? They're fast fish. I've caught them on rod and reel, and the power on those fish is just
they're
insane.
Powerful. Yeah, it's very challenging. They're super fast. You have to predict where they're going. You have to, sometimes you have to hold your breath for a really long time while you're waiting on one bait to hope that one comes and hits it so that you have a chance to shoot them.
You're shooting them at 90 feet. You're going all the way down and waiting down there, or?
If we have to, yes. Ideally, they come a little shallower, but this past trip, we had to dive very deep most days. But I think I ended up shooting, the last one that I shot was probably around 50 feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you. How many shafts do you have to put through this fish?
Just one.
Just one?
Yeah.
That's it? Even on those 300 pounders, just one shaft? You don't?
Yeah. I mean,
you don't have to take multiple shots?
I didn't have to, no. Because I use a bungee.
Okay.
And attached to my float.
Right.
So that does most of the work, honestly.
Okay. So let's talk about your setup.
Yeah.
Are you using a roller gun, traditional gun? How many bands? How many centimeters long? What are we doing?
So I'm using a traditional gun, but made of carbon.
Okay.
It's a 130.
Who makes it?
Rob Allen.
Okay.
And I use it with 2 14-millimeter bands.
Gotcha.
Which a lot of people think I'm crazy for.
Why is that?
Because they're very weak compared to, your stock setup. Because the stock setup has 16-millimeter bands, which provide a lot more power. And
so why downsize?
because I can't load 16 millimeter bends.
Okay. So it's for you. It's a personal thing.
Exactly.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean, it still kills fish, so.
Yeah, exactly. So if you can get close enough, you're going to be able to shoot them.
Okay. And then you have the gun attached to a float line, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that float line is really what does the work on, once you hit that fish, it weighs them down, or
Exactly. So
what's a
it's
battle
actually-
do? Like,
So I have my rig, I have my gun attached to the bungee, and then the bungee's attached to a float at the surface.
Okay.
So once I shoot a fish, tuna tend to dive deep. They tend to dive down once you shoot them. So what happens is the bungee is fighting the float, and so the fish is really getting tired because that bungee keeps stretching and pulling
Right.
it back and stretching and pulling it back. So really my job is just to pull it up once once it's done fighting.
are you pulling it from the boat, or are you pulling it while you're in the water?
No,
What's the
while I'm
setup?
in the water.
Okay, so you're fighting that fish on the surface.
Right. 'Cause,
Did you lose any fish do you ever lose fish while that happens, or generally when the shaft is in, that's good?
I haven't lost any bluefin tuna. All the ones that I shot, they held.
Okay.
Luckily.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, all of them have basically been like tail shots
Interesting.
and held super well.
Okay, so you're hitting them
Super well.
in a really tough spot where it's going to stick.
Yeah.
I gotcha. So have you stoned any bluefin while you were like
No.
diving? That would be really cool though.
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
That would be nice. The last one though, I killed it very quickly. The shot was great, and it didn't even dive. It literally came out of the water.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. That's pretty
Everyone was
incredible.
Like, what did she shoot?
Yeah.
Because it was
It's not
so
typical.
odd.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
So
Are you surrounded by bait at this time, or what are you seeing around you? Like, what's the environment like? Is it a pot of tuna crushing bait, or what are you seeing?
So I think it really depends on the time of year, because last year, I mean, when we were chumming, it was just incredible. It was like this massive school of them would just come and start hitting all of the bait until there was nothing left. But this year, I don't know, maybe the water was a little bit warmer, so it was different, and the fish weren't interested in the chum. And it was really, really difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is this over?
so-
This is over in the Mediterranean, right?
This is in the
Or where?
Aegean
In the
Sea.
Aegean Sea.
Yeah.
Okay, so they get the bluefin all the way in there.
Yeah.
They migrate in there, right? Or are they? I don't know much
think-
about how the bluefin are in there.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe these kind of stay around there.
Okay, so they're like resident fish, kind of.
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, I see.
I could be wrong, but I think so.
That's pretty cool, though. I mean,
Yeah.
you've also shot marlin, right? That's another really cool fish that you've got.
Yeah.
Can you talk to me about that? I've seen
Striped
pictures,
marlin. That was wild.
and let's talk about it. Tell me the
That
story.
was a wild experience. So we were on a panga
Where at?
in Ecuador,
Okay.
and we were just following the birds. Once you see them, like you see the marlins popping out of the water, then we would jump in, but then the bait ball would move, and so everything would move. It was so difficult. So basically what I had to do was look up, look for the birds, see where they went, keep swimming, like swim as hard as you can
Oh,
to try
wow.
to catch up with them, but they just keep moving. Finally, after I don't know how long and pumping water into my wetsuit because I was overheating from swimming so hard, finally I start seeing the birds diving into the water, and then I see sea lions, and then I see sharks, and then I see dolphins, and then I see marlins.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was wild. It was wild. But then I dove down, I shot it. Oh my God. But I had missed like 3 others
Oh,
that
really?
trip. So I was like desperate.
This was a ride or die situation.
Yeah, it was like, I need this fish.
Right. And that one, did you have to put multiple shafts in that marlin?
I don't know if I had to, but I did.
Okay.
Just wanted to be safe.
Right.
But yeah, second shot was an immediate stone shot. Yeah, I mean, that was an incredible experience. But that was, I had to borrow a gun from somebody there. So that was a Rob Allen 110.
Okay. So even smaller than the one
Even
you.
smaller, yeah.
Wow. And that could take down a striped marlin, huh?
Mm-hmm.
How big was that striped marlin?
180 pounds.
Okay. Yeah, that's a big fish. That's a big, and they're fast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty incredible. So what's your favorite place to spear around the world? I mean, you've been to a lot of places and shot a lot of cool stuff.
Oh, that's so hard to answer because, I mean, every place has its charm, you know?
Right.
But I think I've had the most fun in dry tortugas,
Okay.
like towards the Gulf.
Yeah.
Yeah, like shooting 110-pound amberjacks, like
Whoa.
huge ones.
Yeah.
And that trip, we were diving super deep again, like 90 feet plus all day, every day. It was a 5-day trip. But yeah, we were shooting everything out there. It was like Jurassic Park. It was great.
What was your highlight of that trip? What fish like did
the
it for you?
highlight was definitely the huge amberjacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I shot multiple.
That's pretty cool. Did you eat them? Were they wormy? I mean, a lot of those big amberjacks are usually wormy, right?
Yeah. So this was a commercial trip.
Okay.
So we didn't eat them. They were sold at the end, but I would imagine that they would be a bit wormy. But you can just cut that part out. It's not really.
Yeah, it's usually okay.
Yeah.
So talking about, you've gotten to do all this incredible stuff and you can outdive a lot of guys. So how is it being a female in this space, in this industry? Do do people overlook you because you're female, or what kind of environment or culture do you believe is there?
So I believe there's definitely like a stigma about female spearfishers and fisher women in general.
Yeah.
But I think unfortunately that's kind of a product of, what's out there. Like, unfortunately, there are a lot of people that, at least that I've experienced, that hold up other people's fish. They take photos with other people's fish, or these girls like won't load their own gun, So the stigma is there, I believe, for a reason, unfortunately. But I think it's been pretty easy to overcome just because I'm just very honest about everything. And like, I've always, whenever I'm on a boat, I will never touch anybody else's fish. And that word spreads,
Right.
So if someone says, oh, that's probably not her fish, they'll be like, she refuses to touch anybody else's.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're known for that.
Oh, yeah. No, like, I would be able to post a lot more content if I did touch other people's fish, but I don't, every time I go out, I don't shoot something. So, but I don't think it's been that challenging. I mean, I think it was in the beginning.
I was going to ask, how was it, starting out and trying to like pave the way as a female in the spearfishing world?
Yeah, starting out, it was a lot harder just because there wasn't a lot of information about, gear for women, and there wasn't a lot of gear for women, but also just trying to get on boats and really just kind of like better yourself because, you can always go offshore. I mean, not offshore, but you can go shore diving,
right?
Like from the beach. But I mean, that only takes you so far. You need to get on the boats to really be able to get that really good experience and diving deeper and bigger fish. So that was a little challenging, finding people that didn't mind having a woman on board.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty awesome. I mean, it's great that you've come to where you are now. I mean, it's pretty incredible to see that you're getting to do this and go everywhere and kind of like
Thank you.
I think you've made a solidified place in the industry as just being a top-notch diver and spearfisher woman. I mean, it's been pretty incredible to see and watch. And I've heard about you from a long time ago, but this is the first time we meet, and it's pretty cool to meet you. So,
Thank you.
So did you grow up in like diving? Did you grow up around fishing? How did you grow up and get into the whole scene?
I did grow up snorkeling.
Okay. That works.
But not diving. I never dove. I never free dove. I never went like fishing. I mean, maybe I fished a couple times with friends, like, but I was never into fishing. And I had maybe one friend that fished. But no, it just kind of, it all snowballed.
How so? Tell me about it.
So I took a scuba course, and I saw a freediver during that scuba course. And I was just completely mesmerized. I was like, holy crap. I cannot believe that somebody can dive that deep holding their breath.
While you were on scuba.
Right. Well, I was wearing this tank and I was like, oh my God, like I need to do this.
Yeah.
So I immediately started doing research, went crazy, like obsessive, and found out about spearfishing and about, you know, like how sustainable it is. And I was on like a huge anti-plastic kick. I was like becoming obsessed. So I was like, oh my God, I need to do this. I need to stop buying fish from the supermarket that's covered in plastic and that, you know, results in all this bycatch. And so I just was like, I need to start spearfishing. But I was terrified of sharks. I was terrified of deep water.
Okay.
Like,
are you still terrified of sharks?
No, not terrified, but I have a healthy fear of them.
It's good to have a healthy fear of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like they're around now a lot more. I don't know. From my diving and my fishing experiences, there's a little more sharks around nowadays.
A lot more sharks.
Yeah, right? It's becoming an issue a little bit. I mean, what's your opinion on that?
My opinion on what exactly?
I don't want to call it a shark issue, but I want to say that they're becoming a lot more prevalent. And I think in the fishing and diving community, a lot of people are realizing that these fish are, you know, a lot more around. They're taking your catch and they're ruining your day a lot of the times.
I do think it's a problem.
Yeah.
And I think it has a lot to do with people feeding sharks. But that's not only like the tours feeding sharks. I believe it's also spearfisher, like people spearfishing that are too afraid to defend their catch as well. So that's also a problem. Like on a lot of my videos, you see me fighting sharks. Yeah. And people are like, "You're crazy. What are you doing? Just give up the fish. Your life isn't like it's not worth it." And I was like, people don't understand that once you feed a shark, whether purposefully or not purposefully, they get used to that. Right. And so I'm not just defending that fish because I want to eat it. Yeah. But I'm defending it because I don't want this shark to learn that it can take fish from me. Right. And not only that, I don't want it to start going into a frenzy when I'm basically attached to it. Right. You know?
So kind of playing on that a little bit, and like my experience is I've seen it where we've pulled up on a spot and the sound of the motors, you could see a shark come in and just come hang around the boat waiting for you to put a bait in the water. They just know. They've become accustomed and it's learned behavior, just as you were saying. Exactly. And that's a perfect point where I don't think a lot of people that spearfish really think about, oh, like just let me give up the fish and then it's teaching the sharks. Right. That's a great point that you made. I mean,
yeah, I hug all my fish.
Really?
I grab it and I hug it and I swim it to the boat like that because I'm not giving it up easily.
What about Goliaths? Ugh. How about those guys? What do you do with those guys?
I punch them in the face.
You punch them in the face?
Yeah, I've had to punch them, kick them, like whatever you can do to just get them away from you.
Have they ever attacked you?
No, thankfully no.
Yeah.
And I've never, you know that video with the guy who has a fish in his hand and then the Goliath grabs his hand?
Yeah. Ooh. That's scary.
That's scary.
Right. Are you seeing more and more of them pop up or
they're
just getting bigger?
They're a problem. They're definitely a problem.
Yeah.
They hang, like you always see the resident ones hanging out at the different wrecks and
they know what divers are and they know what's going on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They'll keep an eye on you, like seeing what you're doing, right? Just waiting for the right moment.
Once you get that fish in a frenzy that you shoot, it's all game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to put in a good shot.
Right. You got to stone that fish around those guys.
Exactly.
For sure. So does anything else scare you underwater other than sharks? Or I don't think you're scared of Goliaths, but or you may be.
Oh, I am for sure.
Well, what else if anything else, does it scare you?
I'm scared of eels. I've been in a lot of
morays or
wars with eels. Yeah.
Have you ever been bitten by one?
No, thankfully.
Thank God.
Yeah. Ugh, that would be nasty. But I'm afraid of boats running me over.
Right.
I'm afraid of people accidentally shooting me with spear guns. I'm afraid of blacking out.
These are all realistic fears.
Oh, yeah.
What about the killer whales that have been showing up? Ooh. Have you heard about that?
I have. Oh, man.
That's freaky.
It's freaky, but I don't think I would mind.
Really?
Yeah.
You'd be okay around them.
I think I'd be okay. I don't know if there's even a documented instance of them attacking anyone in the wild.
I have no idea. I wouldn't be able to speak about that, but
That's what I heard, at least.
Well, good. I know we interviewed Kimmy Werner a few weeks ago, and she was talking about how she went diving with them, and she was okay, thank God. So that was pretty cool. But
very cool.
I've heard about them being off the coast of South Florida here lately and just showing up here and there, which is, I think, a first in either a long time or ever.
Very
I don't know.
strange.
Yeah.
But also the great whites.
Yeah.
Did you hear about those?
I did not. What's up with the great whites?
The great whites coming on the coast of Florida.
Oh, they're coming in close now.
Yeah.
Okay, that's scary.
Very scary.
Those guys they're freaky.
Yeah.
In front of me, I have the Flushmaster by Seamule. This little device simplifies the process for flushing your engines. All it takes is 3 easy steps. Plug the hose into the device, plug the hoses from the device into your motors, and press on. That's all it takes to preserve the longevity of your motors, ensuring 100% clean water is running through them. So if you want to preserve your motors, go to seamule.com and go pick up a Flushmaster. So, do you have a crew that you like to dive with all the time, or is it?
I do. I tend to stick with the same people.
Yeah.
Because it's really important for safety, number one, and you need to be with people that you trust and people that can dive to the same level as you can. Because if something goes wrong and you're really deep, you want someone who can help you out really deep.
Right.
You know, if you're a 90-plus foot diver, you don't want to be diving with someone who can only go 50, 60 feet.
Right. Do you always dive with a buddy?
Always, yeah.
Yeah, you never solo dive.
No.
I gotcha. So, speaking about safety, have you ever experienced a shallow water blackout or anything like that?
I have not.
Have you been in a situation where someone has?
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Good for you.
I know.
That's awesome. I mean, I feel like that's, not that it's rare, but I feel like it happens more often than people think, where people have those crazy, scary incidents. I mean, I haven't seen it happen myself, but I've heard about it happening to people. And
no, I've been really lucky so far. And the thing is, like, I always try to keep like a nice reserve so that I don't ever feel like I'm really pushing myself that hard.
Right.
I think that's important too, not to make stupid decisions. Like, I'll let fish go. I'm fine with that. Even though I really want it.
Yeah.
I'll still be like, okay, it's not worth it.
Your life is more important.
Yeah.
How did you train yourself to get in that mindset? Because I feel as if fishermen and fisherwomen, or, you know, at least in today's day and age, people just, they want to chase that fish and they want to keep pushing. How did you get to the point where you became calm and collected, and now you can make calculated decisions 90 feet, 100 feet down in the water?
Well, I mean, I've always been a pretty competitive person, and that does drive me, I guess, do some stupid things. But I'm always like, okay, you can do stupid things, but don't do like really dumb things. Yeah. So I think that's kind of what keeps me safe.
Right.
And that's a mentality that I've always had. Like, I don't know, I've always just been really good at controlling. When I'm in a sports environment, I'm very good at controlling my emotions and my reactions to things.
Right.
So I think that definitely helps. I don't know if that really explains anything.
No, I get it. I mean, you're able to just lock in on and focus on what you need to do and kind of compartmentalize.
Yeah, definitely. Right? Like when I'm down there, it's just like I have a mission,
right,
and I know the steps that I need to take in order to accomplish that.
Right.
And if one of those steps kind of fail, I know I can just eject and
you know what? Yeah, you can get out of the situation.
Yeah, exactly.
I gotcha. So, have you ever been skunked while you've been out there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So many times.
Really? So you'll go down and you'll get down there and there's just nothing there, or? I
mean, there's shootable fish, but when you have a freezer full of fish,
right,
you kind of hold off until there's something bigger comes along.
Yeah.
But sometimes it just doesn't come.
So let's talk about that a little bit. You know, you have a freezer full of fish. Let's talk about the sustainability of spearfishing, right? I feel like you're an advocate for that. So what is your take? Why is it, for those that don't understand, why is it so sustainable? I mean, people get down there and they say, oh, these people are just shooting a bunch of fish underwater. And why is it sustainable?
Because it's just really, you get to choose exactly what fish you want.
Right.
And you're not just throwing a net and catching, anything that comes along.
Yeah.
So if you want to go out and let's say you have a dinner planned and you're like, I want a Cubera snapper, then you just go looking for that one Cubera snapper.
Right.
If you don't get it, then you don't get it. Or if you don't get that one, you can choose a different one. But it's not like you're just doing this blanket of death, basically.
Right. With the gill netting or whatever it is.
Exactly.
I got you.
Like pulling turtles and dolphins and...
It's sad.
Yeah.
It's really sad. I mean, the commercial guys, I have commercial fishermen buddies, but around the world, I don't think as much down here, but around the world, it gets pretty crazy about what they're doing. And
it gets really crazy.
Have you seen any of that while you travel abroad? Or have you seen any like crazy experiences with other, cultures or anything?
I forget what country I was in, but we encountered a Chinese fishing vessel and it was like, it was very illegal for them to be there.
Really?
Yeah.
So did they mess with you guys at all? Or?
They didn't, because we didn't get close enough. We didn't want to take our chances. But no, we just called the authorities and let them know that they were there and,
right.
Kind
of just let whatever happen.
Yeah. What can you do really at
nothing.
That point?
Yeah. I watched a couple of documentaries on that and nothing against the Chinese, but their fishing practices are not the best.
Not the best at all.
Right. So shifting gears and talking about this conservation and everything, what would you say to someone that wants to get into spearfishing and that wants to be not conservative, but into the whole conservation and, sustainable fishing? What would you say to someone, or male or female, that's trying to get into the sport? What would you recommend how they get into it?
I would just say go for it.
Yeah.
The time is now.
Right.
Just grab a pole spear and jump off the beach and go get some dinner.
Right. Have you seen the sport growing over time?
It's really been growing a lot for both sexes. So
right.
A lot of new men are getting into it and a lot of women are getting into it. So it's really cool to see.
I think it's pretty awesome. I've been seeing a lot more people popping up, micro influencers kind of posting their catch, and it's pretty incredible to see, people are getting into the sport and being more sustainable. I think there's been a big push lately where people have really been focusing on, let's be sustainable, let's conserve, let's make sure that we're taking just enough fish, not too much fish. Everything doesn't have to die. Right. I've heard some guys say everything must die, but that's not really how it should be. But
what was it? If it has a face, I'm going to shoot it. Something like that.
Is that what it is?
People say that.
I've heard in the hunting realm, if it flies, it dies.
Okay, yeah.
So it's definitely similar for fishing with some people, for sure. So you've now, like I said before, you've solidified yourself in the space as one of the most influential and B, top performing spear fisherwoman / spear. I don't want to just in the whole sport, men or women, you have solidified yourself there and you've become an inspiration. So for all the people that are listening to you that you inspire, what would you want to say to them? What do you, if they're trying to emulate you, how should they? What would you say are your principles that, drive you and make you who you are and such a top diver, advocate for conservation,
Honestly, it's just listen to yourself and don't be afraid to do things by yourself. Because a lot of times you're like, what happened with me was I didn't have a group of friends that fished. I didn't know anybody that did spearfishing or free diving or anything. And I was asking everybody, hey, do you want to do this with me? Do you want to take a freediving course? Do you want to come with me and go spearfishing? And everyone's like, no, are you crazy? So I think it's just really important to be comfortable going out of your comfort zone. Okay. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
But, even if you don't have anyone to do it with, just go ahead and figure it out, because you'll meet people along the way. And even if you suck, you'll get better. Yeah. You'll figure it out. There's so much information now. There's so many videos. There's so many courses, and there's so much gear. The gear selection is crazy. You just have to go ahead and do it and just be yourself and have fun, and you'll find your crew. Right.
Does anybody inspire you?
Oh, so many people.
Anybody you want to shout out here while you're on the show, or is there someone that's a role model for you in the spearfishing world, or?
Oh God, there's so many. But I mean, when I started out, obviously Kimmy Werner, she's a huge one.
Yeah.
And Valentine Thomas, but I mean, Sherry Day, all these women that, you know, started before me.
They changed the game.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah. And they gave a lot of really good advice, and I was smart enough to actually follow it and not try to figure things out on my own.
Right.
Because a lot of stuff I did have to figure out on my own, but the information that was provided, I just took it in. And like Kimmy Werner, she said, you should learn on a pole spear or Hawaiian sling or whatever it was, something that's primitive. And that's exactly what I did. I started with a pole spear for an entire year.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't pick up a gun for a whole year. So I really learned how to
You honed in your skill.
Yeah. And then, I mean, Valentine Thomas, she gave me so much advice about putting like 14 millimeter bands on my gun and the proper setup for my weight belt. She helped a lot, for sure. Those were two people that I definitely looked to for advice.
Right.
And yeah, so they were very helpful.
That's pretty cool. So you're talking a little bit about your gear. I know you have some sponsors, but what gear do you use? What is your, what's your go-to gun? What are your go-to fins? Do you like them super stiff? Do you like them super flexy? What do you prefer in terms of gear selection?
So we can start with my wetsuit. I love Polo Sub wetsuits. They're custom made for my body, which is necessary because I'm very tall and I have a lot of curves. So the standard ones just don't fit at all. Yeah. Like you should have seen how my first wetsuit fit. It was pretty funny.
Not good.
Not good. And I thought it fit great. But then you put on a custom one and you're like, okay, this is how it's supposed to fit.
Game changer.
Yeah, so
what's the brand?
Polo Sub.
Okay.
Amazing wetsuits. And then for guns, I've been using Rob Allen. Love Rob Allen. Yeah. Shout out to him. He's great.
They make a great gun.
Very great gun. Super reliable. But I'm going to be trying out the Spear Pro guns next. I'm very excited to try those.
Okay.
Guns.
Those are cool.
Yeah, very
cool. What's different about those guns than the Rob Allens?
I don't think there's much of a difference. I don't know. I think they're a little bit more available here in the States. So I'm just going to give them a try.
Check them out. Yeah.
I mean, all the other gear, my fins, I really like them in soft.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Do you have a specific brand that you like? So
I really like my Alchemy fins.
Okay.
Those I've had for a really, really long time. And I don't know if it's the actual fin or I have the Bouchat foot pocket.
Right.
So I don't know if it's the actual blade or the foot pocket that I just really like.
Right. It's comfy though.
Very comfy.
Oh, that's good.
The Bouchat Mondial
foot
pocket. It's
Where are those from?
I think they're, oh man, I forget what country. It's not French. I don't remember.
It sounds French. I don't know.
I don't think it is, though.
Well, and what kind of mask do you use? Do you have a specific mask that you like? Or?
Yeah, so there's one that, it's so hard to find masks that fit your face properly. But this one is called the Siak Fox. And I actually drilled a hole in it to create a mount for my GoPro.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that one, I mean, it worked out, thankfully. So I bought 8 more just in case.
Yeah.
Because this particular brand, the skirt, the silicone skirt around your eyes, it separates from the frame. Okay. So you can actually drill a hole into it without penetrating.
So you can still have that seal there.
Exactly.
Okay, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, but I needed it for my GoPros.
Yeah.
And I mean, I haven't found another one that comes with a GoPro mount that fits my face properly.
Right. So you kind of DIY at home, make your own. Hey, it works. If it works, it works.
Yeah.
So what's the most incredible place that you have dove and spearfished, and what stands out to you as a hallmark other than the Tortugas? I know we talked about the Tortugas a little bit.
Tortugas, special place in my heart.
Yeah.
But other than that, Alaska. Alaska was amazing.
What'd you shoot over there?
Nothing special. Okay. Really nothing special, but it was just an amazing place. And I caught Dungeness crabs by hand.
Ooh, that sounds delicious.
It was so good. And I caught sea cucumbers, nothing challenging, but it was just so much fun. And like the water was freezing, and the chance of orcas and sea lions. And, you know, it was just such a different environment for me that it was just really fascinating. So it holds like a very special place in my heart.
I want to get to Alaska one day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, from what I've seen, I watched Steve Rinella on Meat Eater, and I watch all his episodes, and I'm like, I want to get out there and go check it out.
It's otherworldly.
Really?
Yeah.
And it's super like untouched there, right?
Yeah.
Which is pretty incredible. I feel like people don't really think about that. They think Alaska, they think the Arctic almost, but.
Yeah, but if you go in the summer, it's just absolutely beautiful.
I'm sure.
We traveled on a boat for about 7 to 8 days.
Wow.
Just island hopping, like.
That's pretty incredible.
There's hot springs there. I don't know if you knew that, but
so
different islands, there's hot springs, and
that must have been a cool experience.
it was incredible. It was so much fun. We were on a fishing vessel and with our friend who he's a commercial fisherman out there.
Yeah.
And it was just so much fun. Like I shot small fish, but delicious. So good. I missed halibut season.
Okay.
So
well, that's okay. You got to go back.
Yeah. Just have to go back.
Yeah. So what's your favorite fish to shoot?
To shoot?
Yeah.
Probably African pompano. Those are fun. Those are really fun.
You brought us some today, so thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
When was that fish shot? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
That was shot probably a month ago.
Okay. What was going on? Where'd you shoot the fish? And
it was off of this barge that we have in Miami. I had a feeling it was going to be there, so I just stuck there.
How deep was the barge?
I'm not telling you. Trying to steal my spots.
No, I'm not trying to steal your spots. Well, okay.
It was deep, very, very deep.
Very deep. No one will ever know where the APs are located. No one will know.
I would tell you, but my friends would kill me.
Well, no, it's okay. We don't want anybody to die. So that's okay.
I value my life.
No, exactly. I value your life too. Don't worry.
Thank you.
But so when people think about diving in Miami, is there a lot of good spots down here?
So many good spots.
Really? And do you have to be, I'm not going to ask for depth, but do you have to be an experienced diver to get on good fish in South Florida, would you say?
I don't think so. You have to be a relatively good diver, I believe, just because your bodily movements, like the way that you move underwater really dictates whether fish are going to get close to you or not. So you have to have, some knowledge of it.
You have to have a finesse to you.
Finesse, exactly.
I see.
But I don't think you have to be that experienced. I think a lot of amateurs can do very well if they're put in the right spot.
Right. So has any fish eluded you lately, or what's on your bucket list that you still haven't gotten, if anything?
Cobia.
Really?
Oh my God. I've never seen one big enough. I see all small ones.
But you haven't seen anything big enough to shoot. I call
the bull sharks. I try to attract them, and they come with little tiny freaking cobia.
Have you tried to dive the migration when it comes through?
I haven't, not yet. I mean, that's my problem.
Yeah, you got to dive the migration. I hear it's killer, but that's scary.
At
least for me, I'm scared of that.
I have a friend who sends me videos of cobia literally popping out of the water that he could shoot from the boat.
Really?
Like, look, Lauren, you should have come with me.
Well, I'm sure you'll get one soon.
I'm sure.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Well, Lauren, thank you for coming into the studio today. I appreciate it. I mean, it's been incredible to get to know you and all that you've been doing. And it's inspiring to see you just hopping around the world, shooting these crazy fish and just being an advocate for, not only conservation and sustainability, but also as an inspiration to all the women and men out there that watch you. And, so just shout out yourself. I know you wanted to, give a little plug to yourself.
Yes, I'm Lauren Sarasua. Follow my YouTube channel. It's just my full name, Lauren Sarasua.
Sarah USA is how you spell it.
Just switch the S and the U.
Yeah.
And I also have TikTok and Instagram, but yeah, mainly YouTube. You can follow all my adventures, and that's about it.
I love it. Guys, we follow her adventures over here at CCO's The Science of Fishing. We're keeping in touch with her. We're going to keep up with her, and you guys will see her back here another time. See you later, guys.
Thanks for joining us on The Science of Fishing. We hope that this episode was helpful and you learned something for the next time you're wetting a line. Before we cast off, a special thanks to our sponsors, Bloody Battery, Sea Mule, and Black Reef Company. Stay hooked by following us on social media at Science of Fishing and hitting the subscribe button. And if you know someone who'd enjoy this, please share it with them. Until we meet again, catch 'em up.